In this video presentation, we are going to examine the fossil record we find in the earth today to try to determine if dinosaurs coexisted with man on this earth in Bible times. There are two doctrines being taught today regarding the age of our universe. Old Earth creationists believe that our universe and Earth was created millions, perhaps billions of years ago, and prehistoric creatures, dinosaurs, roamed the entire Earth. They believe that there was a catastrophic event that took place in our universe, probably Lucifer's rebellion against God, which destroyed most of what God had created, including dinosaurs living on this earth. The catastrophic event caused the fossilization of all living matter on the earth, plants and animals. The result was an earth without form and void, as described in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2. About 6,000 years ago, God then reshaped and remodeled the earth, and then created modern-day animals and man, and placed them in the Garden of Eden. Young Earth creationists believe that the entire universe was created by God approximately 6,000 years ago. They believe that dinosaurs were created along with all of the other land animals on day 6, and coexisted with man on this earth. They believe that Noah took dinosaurs into the ark, and released them back into the wild after the ark landed on Mount Ararat. The young earthers contend that the fossil record we find all over the globe is a direct result of Noah's flood. They believe the fossil record was caused by the rapid burial of all living creatures not on the ark and left behind to drown. They believe the fossils we have today of all of the dinosaurs is a result of sediment that rapidly covered the drowning creatures. I have never believed in evolution, and I believe in the 6 literal day account of our beginnings in the book of Genesis. But I also believe that the earth is much older than 6,000 years. I have never had any trouble marrying the two ideas because I believe the Bible unequivocally gives us the evidence that support those facts. During my investigation, I have uncovered hundreds of bits of evidence that I have pieced together into the mosaic that I will attempt to present to you, the jury. In this segment, we are going to look at the fossil record in our earth today. You cannot ignore the fossil record. It exists. It is physical evidence of creatures that once existed on this earth. For now, let's ignore the carbon dating and the estimates of the age of the fossils found in the earth. Let's just concentrate on the fossils. In this presentation, we are going to refer to 2 different types of animals. The creatures that have been found in the fossil record all over the earth, we are going to refer to as dinosaurs. The marine creatures found by the millions in the fossil record, we are going to refer to as marine dinosaurs. There are mold fossils, which are a negative imprint of the organism, trace fossils, like footprints, and true form fossils, which are the actual fossilized remains of the animal. We will refer to the creatures that are alive today as modern-day animals and fish. We will refer to the human race as modern-day man. The phrase used by Ken Ham and other young earth creationists when describing the result of the flood is billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
Well, the Bible tells us the fountains of the deep broke open all over the earth. There were tidal waves, earthquakes. Only those animals, including dinosaurs that were on Noah's Ark, were safe. Those outside the Ark, what happened to them? Well, they drowned and covered with mud and turned into fossils. And what do we end up with? Billions of dead things buried in rock layers, laid down by water all over the earth.
So, what would we expect from a flood like that? Well, we would expect billions of dead things, plants, animals, to be buried in rock layers that were once wet sediments of sand, silt, clay. And we would expect to see those laid down all over the earth. And the miracle of miracles is that that's precisely what we find. Billions of dead things buried in rock layers that were once wet sediments, and we find them all over the earth. We find marine fossils on the tops of all of our highest mountains, the Himalayas, the Alps, the Rockies.
The Bible tells us that there was a global flood, covered the highest hills and the whole of the whole of heaven. I believe that Noah's flood would have ripped up the land surface. It would have totally changed the topography. I mean, I don't think we'd have a clue where the Garden of Eden was because of Noah's flood. Not only that, if Noah's flood's true, you'd expect to find billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. And by the way, you know what you find? Billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
Now, what would you expect from a global flood that lasted 371 days from the day that Noah got on the ark until the day he and the animals came off the ark, as it's described in Genesis? Well, you should expect to find billions of dead things buried in rock layers that were once soft sediments laid down by water. And you should expect to find that all over the earth. And that's precisely what we find. Billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
And of course we know about the global flood of Noah's day, and if there really was a global flood, you'd expect to find billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
Genesis 6, verse 17, where it says, "And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die." That is the explanation for what we see in the fossil record. Everything created after their kind, everything buried at about the same time.
Hey, what could fountains of the great deep breaking open all over the earth, massive earthquakes, tidal waves, what would you expect? Over a period of many months, I think you'd expect billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. And by the way, do you know what you find? You find billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. That's exactly what you find.
Ken Ham is right. There are billions of fossils found all over the world. Scientists estimate that about 9,000 species of dinosaurs once existed on Earth. This is not counting the lesser forms of extinct creatures like the trilobite. The largest variation of different species of dinosaur fossils are found in the United States, from Maine to California and Alaska. Canada has uncovered thousands of fossils, including large deposits of the pterodactyl, brontosaurus, and stegosaurus remains. There are parts of Mexico where dinosaur fossils are found by the thousands laying on top of the ground. Scientists have found millions of fossils in Mexico. South America is loaded with dinosaur fossils, including Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Peru, and Paraguay. The African continent has produced millions of dinosaur fossils from Algeria, Egypt, Madagascar, Morocco, Niger, Tunisia, and Zimbabwe. They have been found in Great Britain, Ireland, France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, Poland, Italy, and the former Eastern Bloc countries. Most of the fossils in Saudi Arabia and Yemen come in the form of fuel, fossil fuel. Large amounts of oil formed from extinct plants and animals lie beneath the sand. There are a few excavation camps where true form fossils have been found, but most of the fossil record in this area consists of trace fossils, like footprints, which are not included on our map. These sauropod footprints were discovered in Yemen in 1996. China, boasting the largest collection of dinosaur fossils in museums, is rich in fossils. There is a possibility that much of the Chinese folklore about dragons is due to dinosaur bones being found long ago and the Chinese people having no idea what the large bones belong to. Japan and Mongolia both contain dinosaur fossils. They are found in India and Burma. Fossils were found in Thailand in 1976. There are dinosaur remains in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Kazakhstan. Fossils extend up from Israel into Turkey and into Russia. Professor Alexei Rozanov, the president of the Russian Academy of Sciences, recently opened the Russian Dinosaur Exposition, the largest traveling dinosaur exposition in the world. This display contains 33 complete skeletons of dinosaurs reconstructed from several hundred excavation sites across the country. The southern portion of Greenland has uncovered many species of dinosaur bones. The Scandinavian countries have excavated fossils. Fossils have recently been discovered in Antarctica. Fossil graveyards have been unearthed in Malaysia, Indonesia, and New Guinea. Surprisingly, Australia has yielded fewer dinosaur fossils than any other continent. But in 2009, 3 new species of dinosaur fossils were found in 4 main areas of Australia. The Dinosaur Cove in Victoria contained rich dinosaur remains. The Fossil Triangle in Queensland, the Opal Fields in South Australia and New South Wales, along with portions of Western Australia, have yielded some of the most interesting dinosaur fossils ever found. Considering the vast number of dinosaur fossils found in the earth all over the world, there are 4 main questions that I want to pose to you, the jury, regarding the fossil record that exists in our world. According to the fossil record, there were billions of marine dinosaur invertebrates, dinosaur fish, dinosaur amphibians, dinosaur birds, and dinosaur mammals. Young earthers contend that these dinosaurs coexisted with man. If that is true, then there were also billions of men, women, children, sheep, goats, cows, chickens, and other living creatures on this earth at that time. According to young earth creationists, all of these creatures coexisted on this earth when the flood came. With the exception of Noah and his wife, his 3 sons and their wives, and each kind of animal taken onto the ark, including dinosaurs, all others were drowned in the flood. Massive amounts of silt covered every living land creature. Under this water, covered by intense pressure and silt laid down by the flood, are billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. We know that when the waters recede, we will be able to find all of those billions of fossils of dinosaurs, chickens, sheep, pigs, elephants, horses, and men, women, and children. But wait, you already know what I'm going to say, right? We don't find the fossilized bones of all kinds of modern-day animals and man. We only find the remains of dinosaurs. Billions of fossils of the remains of one type of creature, dinosaurs. There's a problem with this young earth theory. If the flood caused the fossilization of the dinosaurs, there should also be billions of fossils of men, women, children, sheep, goats, cows, chickens, and other modern-day creatures included in the fossil record. In fact, in Ken Ham's presentation describing the burial of creatures by silt at the time of the flood, he shows his audience a graphic that includes a person being covered along with the dinosaurs. The human is saying, "I'm going to be a fossil." But the only fossils found in the earth are of dinosaurs. So my first question to you is why? If men died in the flood alongside dinosaurs, both should be found in the fossil record. They are not. Nor is there one fossil of any modern-day animal such as cows, pigs, goats, chickens, or any other animal living today. The New Earth Organization, Answers in Genesis, in an effort to answer this very important question, states the following on their website, answersingenesis.org. The article is titled, "Why Don't We Find Human and Dinosaur Fossils Together?" So ultimately, the debate is not about the evidence itself. Where we find human fossils and dinosaur fossils, nobody was there to actually observe humans and dinosaurs living together. We are forced to reconstruct that history based on our existing assumptions about time and history, as well as our limited fossil evidence from the rocks. As biblical creationists, we don't require that human and dinosaur fossils be found in the same layers. Whether they are found or not does not affect the biblical view of history. What do you mean the debate is not about the evidence itself? If you're going to make a claim, then you should have some type of evidence, physical or circumstantial, to back it up. The fact that there are absolutely no human or modern-day animal remains found in the fossil record alongside dinosaurs is circumstantial evidence that they did not coexist on this earth together at the time of the flood. I often use analogies that I draw from my experiences as a police officer. There was a family of 5 that lived in a house together, consisting of 4 adults and 1 child. There were 2 males, 2 females, and 1 6-year-old boy. Late one night, the house burned to a crisp. The fire was finally extinguished by the fire department, and investigators began sifting through the rubble, trying to determine if the house was occupied at the time of the fire. The firemen were able to uncover 3 bodies, 1 adult male, 1 adult female, and 1 child. There were 2 adults missing. If I adopt the philosophy of the experts at Answers in Genesis, then whether or not I find the 2 missing people and the charred remains, along with the 3 dead bodies, it should not affect my view of the investigation. The debate here is not about the evidence itself, but I have to come to this conclusion. The couple not found in the charred rubble were not present in the house when it burned down. The evidence demands that conclusion. The fact that no human remains have ever been found in the fossil record, along with dinosaur fossils, demands the conclusion that when the dinosaurs were destroyed and fossilized, modern man and animals were not present on the earth living alongside the dinosaurs. You can try as hard as you like to explain why man and dinosaur fossils are not found together, but the fact remains that this one bit of circumstantial evidence is extremely damaging to the theory being promoted by the young earth creationists. But they still try to convince their followers that humans and dinosaurs coexisted on this earth. In an effort to convince their audience that there are good reasons why there are no bones of modern man found with dinosaur fossils, Answers in Genesis has the following on their website. Think about it. Would you want to live with dinosaurs? Often, people believe that if human bones aren't found with dinosaur bones, then they didn't live at the same time. Actually, all we know for sure is that they weren't buried together. It is very easy for creatures to live at the same time on Earth, but never even cross paths. Have you ever seen a tiger or a panda in the wild? Just because animals are not found together does not mean that they do not live in the same world at the same time. What do they mean? Think about it. Would you want to live with dinosaurs? The implication here is that humans were afraid of dinosaurs and lived as far away from them as possible. Ken Ham, in one of his lectures, shows a picture of T-Rex and makes this statement.
Adam still would have been frightened of them. Why? I mean, you look at T-Rex. You look at those teeth. I mean, if I was Adam, I would have run in the other direction. Well, if I was Adam, I wouldn't have run in the other direction. Well, why is that? Well, what did dinosaurs eat? Well, some people say, I guess they could eat anything they wanted to eat. Well, we need to start with the Bible, don't we? When we start with Genesis, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 and 30, and we've gone over this in this series a number of times, God told Adam and Eve in chapter 1, verse 29, to only eat fruits, plants, and he told the animals only to eat plants. In fact, it wasn't until after the flood that God said we could eat meat, which is why we can eat meat today. Originally, Adam and Eve and the animals were all vegetarian.
Then why would man be afraid of dinosaurs? Or any other animal for that matter? Why would you not want to live with dinosaurs? The fear factor theory contradicts what the young earth creationists teach. And even if you subscribe to that theory, it doesn't explain why modern-day wild animals like the elephant, lions, tigers, and every other modern-day wild beast who would not be living in the human areas have never been found in the fossil record. They also should be scattered all over the earth. The second flaw in this theory is that even if humans segregated themselves from the dinosaurs, by now, there should have been large populations of human fossils found in other areas of the earth. Dinosaur fossils are mostly found by accident. With millions of dinosaur fossils being found all over the earth, human fossils should have been found by accident all over the earth. It doesn't matter whether the dinosaurs laid down next to a human to die. If they both died at the same time, although in different areas, the fossils of both should be found in the fossil record. Since we have a good idea of where the human populations were located before the flood, we should have an easier time locating those human fossils than dinosaur fossils. Yet no human fossils have ever been found. Another explanation given by young Earth creationists is that humans were more mobile and were able to escape the silt they claim rapidly covered all living creatures. On the website it states, "Fossilization is a rare event, especially of humans, who are very mobile. Since the rains of Noah's flood took weeks to cover the earth, many people could have made it to boats, grabbed onto floating debris, and so on. Some may have made it to higher ground. Although they wouldn't have lasted that long and would have eventually perished, they might not fossilize. In most cases, dead things decompose and get eaten." This young Earth theory is completely contrary to what they teach in other presentations.
Or look at the fish caught in the act of eating its lunch. Fish decompose very rapidly, and yet we find many, many examples of fish not only preserved in the skeletal form, but even the soft parts, the fins, are preserved. This speaks of very rapid burial.
Does anything look interesting about this fish? Yeah, he's got his dinner inside there. You think that's slow and gradual? Poor boy didn't get to digest dinner. Even worse, these guys didn't even get to swallow dinner. You think that's slow and gradual? That's rapid. That's catastrophic.
By the way, have a look at that fossil fish as well. This one has swallowed another fish which hasn't digested. Whatever happened there had to be fairly quick, didn't it? In fact, to fossilize anything has to be a rather quick process in a way. It has to be a catastrophic process. Because if you go home and find out your pet cat just died, if you just put it out in your front yard, it doesn't turn into a fossil, does it? You've got to cover it quickly, haven't you? In fact, there are billions and billions of dead things all over the earth in layers miles thick in places, billions of dead things laid down by water. I mean, how did they get there? Well, personally, I believe what the Bible says about Noah's flood is true, that there was a global flood. And by the way, if there was a global flood, what would you expect to find? You'd expect to find billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth.
On one hand, in order to explain why human remains are not found with dinosaur remains, young earthers claim that the flood took weeks to cover the earth, which allowed humans to escape the silt laid down by the flood. What about elephants or the hippopotamus? Were they able to outrun the silt or grab floating debris? Why is it we don't find one fossil of an elephant or hippopotamus? This theory is a feeble attempt to explain why dinosaurs and modern-day creatures are not found together in the fossil record. Let's take a look at another serious flaw in this answer given by Answers in Genesis. We know that man existed basically in the Mesopotamia area prior to the flood. Man did not cover the entire earth. The article states, "Today humans tend to clump together in groups in towns, villages, and cities. In the same way, people were probably not evenly distributed before the flood." The article goes on to say, "This is strong evidence that the pre-flood civilizations probably were not evenly distributed on the landmass. If man wasn't evenly distributed, then the pockets of human habitation possibly were buried in places that have not yet been discovered." Why are dinosaur fossils found here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here? How did dinosaurs get to every other continent in the world? The only explanation that can be given by young Earth creationists is that the flood washed dinosaurs all over the globe. If we adopt that solution to this problem, then the theory that we haven't found modern-day animals and man alongside dinosaur remains is that they didn't live together goes right out the window. If dinosaurs and modern-day animals and man lived on this earth at the same time before the flood, then all of them got washed all over the globe. It didn't matter where they lived. But we don't find modern-day animal and man fossils alongside dinosaur fossils in the USA or Canada or Mexico or South America or Europe or Africa or Russia or Australia or China. Here's another explanation given by Answers in Genesis regarding the lack of human and dinosaur fossils existing side by side. Simply put, there weren't that many humans on the earth at the time of the flood. The article states, "It seems doubtful that there were many hundreds of millions of people before the flood. If the world was indeed bad enough for God to judge with a flood, then people were probably blatantly disobedient to God's command to be fruitful and fill the earth. Moreover, the Bible says that violence filled the earth, so death rates may have been extraordinarily high. So according to Answers in Genesis, man quit reproducing in order to deliberately defy God's instructions. The crime rate was also so high that they were killing each other by the millions. These two theories certainly don't apply to modern-day animals. Do you think rabbits quit multiplying just to defy God's instructions? Where are the rabbits in the fossil record? There are none. No matter what kind of theory you concoct to explain why there have been absolutely no modern-day animals or man found in the fossil record, it doesn't hold water. If you believe that dinosaurs existed alongside modern-day animals and man, then they should all be found in the fossil record. Only dinosaur fossils are found in the fossil record. Let's examine another piece of circumstantial evidence. We'll call this exhibit number 2. If young Earth creationists are correct, then when the flood came, there were billions of marine animals swimming in the oceans, lakes, and streams. Side by side, we have the extinct marine dinosaurs along with modern-day fish and marine mammals. We not only have the plesiosaurus marine dinosaur, we have the modern-day sea bass. We have the extinct ichthyosaurus swimming around in the same oceans as the modern-day dolphin. We have many dinosaur fish swimming side by side with modern-day fish. The flood came and covered billions of sea creatures with silt, causing the remains to fossilize. Why is it that there are no modern-day fish or modern-day marine mammals found in the fossil record alongside fossils of marine dinosaurs? Here again we have the same nagging question. If marine dinosaurs existed in the oceans at the time of the flood, and were swimming side by side with modern-day fishes, then why are only marine dinosaurs found in the fossil record? Are we to believe that the massive amounts of silt that the young earthers claim covered all of the fossilized fish, it only covered the marine dinosaurs and none of the modern-day fish? How did every one of the modern-day fish and marine mammals escape the rapid sedimentation? There should be millions of perch, bass, pike, grouper, snapper, catfish, and sharks, along with modern-day marine mammals like whales and dolphins in the fossil record. There are none. How in the world did they avoid being covered with silt? Are we going to argue that dinosaur fish and modern-day fish lived in separate areas? It wouldn't matter if the rapid sedimentation occurred as violently as young Earth creationists contend. The fish that lived in the Chicago area met up somewhere with the fish from the New York area. If you look at the map of dinosaur excavation sites, you'll see that dinosaur fish are found all over the world. Modern-day fish should also be found in the fossil record all over the world. Not one modern-day fish fossil has ever been found. The conclusion drawn from this evidence is that when the marine dinosaurs were destroyed and fossilized, there were no modern-day fish in the water with them. Here is exhibit number 3. Along the same lines, I have to wonder why there are no marine dinosaurs alive today swimming in our oceans and lakes. When the flood came and took them all away, there were millions of fish and marine mammals alive in the oceans and lakes. Every fish, from the yellow perch to the great white shark, survived the flood simply because they lived in water. Marine mammals also survived, from the dolphin to the great whales. If marine dinosaurs were alive and swimming in the water at the time of the flood, why are there not millions of marine dinosaurs swimming in the oceans and lakes today? There should be an abundance of live dinosaur fish similar to those we have found in the fossil record. There are none. Not being able to find one ancient marine dinosaur in the water today isn't just another coincidence. Young Earth creationists attempt to convince their followers that some ancient marine dinosaurs have survived to this day, but the facts do not support that claim. Scientists were sure they had found an ancient fish thought to be extinct when a fish thought to be a coelacanth was caught off the coast of South Africa in 1938. But a recent scientific study confirms that modern-day creatures that resemble extinct dinosaurs are not genetically connected. DNA tests were run on dinosaur fossils by Dr. Scott Woodward, an associate professor of microbiology at the Brigham Young University, and it was discovered that the dinosaurs had a completely different DNA structure than any modern-day animal alive today. Dr. Woodward stated in his press release that the dinosaur DNA is, quote, like nothing we've ever seen before, unquote. Dr. Woodward isolated DNA molecules from pieces of 2 dinosaur bones and produced 9 readable sequences from a strand of DNA for a particular gene. It is the first report an authoritative journal has published about success in isolating dinosaur DNA. So that fish that looks like a marine dinosaur is nothing of the sort. The fish caught off the coast of Indonesia was eventually assigned a new species name, Latimeria chalumnae, because this fish does not resemble any coelacanth in the fossil record. The fact that some modern-day animals resemble dinosaurs doesn't mean that they are genetically connected. The modern-day crocodile looks much like the Baryonyx dinosaur, whose fossilized bones have been found in the United Kingdom. The Baryonyx dinosaur is extinct. The crocodile is currently living on the earth. There are no living Baryonyx dinosaurs. There are no modern-day crocodiles in the fossil record. And the two creatures are not remotely connected genetically, no matter how similar they look. And finally, here is my 4th question. How about those dinosaurs that were saved on Noah's Ark? Where are they today? Do you mean to tell me that out of all the kinds of animals and species that disembarked from the Ark over 4,000 years ago, the only kind of animals that have become extinct are the dinosaurs? Of the thousands of species of dinosaurs that existed, confirmed by the fossil record, you would think that at least a few species would still exist today. The young Earth creationists cannot explain this fact.
Lots of reasons. Oh, what happened to the dinosaurs? We don't know.
That's not the answer a jury wants to hear. The fact that there is not one dinosaur alive today is another piece of circumstantial evidence that dinosaurs never got off the Ark because they never got on. They didn't exist when the flood occurred. But young Earth creationists point to unsubstantiated stories of modern-day dinosaurs like the Loch Ness Monster, a creature reported to be seen by a select few in a lake in Scotland to make their followers believe that dinosaurs still exist. Some people have claimed to have seen a creature with a long neck and fin-like extremities similar to a plesiosaur dinosaur. But even after an extensive investigation by the BBC, including underwater cameras and sonar equipment, the creature has never been substantiated as real.
Cryptozoologist Craig Fackrell and skipper John Northcote are beginning their 2nd day of searching for the monster. They are trolling the lake using a disguised camera. This monster quest search has covered all 23 miles of the lake, using an array of search methods with modified sonar and video equipment. After 12 days and 105 sonar targets, Rhine's search efforts have unearthed some good specimens, but no physical evidence of the legendary monster.
So far, no lumps, no bones, no tissue, no bits.
Even with thousands of video cameras in the hands of the local residents, no real footage of the dinosaur has ever been recorded. Even if Nessie was found to exist, it's doubtful that the animal's DNA would match that of ancient creatures found in the fossil record. The attempt by young Earthers to convince their followers that dinosaurs still exist today has encountered the same roadblock that believers in Sasquatch and UFO aliens have had to deal with: physical evidence. The fact is, there is absolutely no evidence that any live dinosaurs exist anywhere in the world like those found in the fossil record. So we have 4 major pieces of circumstantial evidence to present here. 1. There are no modern-day man or animal fossils included in the fossil record. 2nd, there are no modern-day fish found in the fossil record. 3rd, there are no marine dinosaurs swimming in our waters today. And 4th, there are no land dinosaurs alive today. So I am going to again present these 4 pieces of evidence to you in light of the 2 different doctrines, the young Earth and the old Earth. The young Earth theory contends that God created the entire universe, including our Earth, approximately 6,000 years ago. On day 5 of the creation, God created marine life, dinosaurs that existed in the oceans and lakes and streams, next to modern-day fish like the sea bass, the trout, dolphins, and whales. God created land dinosaurs on day 6 and placed them on the earth along with sheep, horses, elephants, and gorillas. God then created man and placed him in the Garden of Eden. God became displeased with his creation and instructed Noah to build an ark. Noah and 7 other humans boarded the ark along with each kind of dinosaur and modern-day animal. The flood waters covered the highest mountain, drowning all land creatures. Some of the marine creatures survived in the waters, but others were too slow to escape the rapid sedimentation and were turned into fossils. Land creatures not on the ark were also covered with tons of sedimentation, resulting in billions of dead things buried in rock layers laid down by water all over the earth. Buried under massive amounts of silt were dinosaurs, sheep, elephants, horses, gorillas, and humans. There were millions of marine animals buried, including marine dinosaurs, modern-day bass, dolphins, trout, and whales. Noah and his family and all the animals that were saved on the ark disembarked and began multiplying all over the face of the earth, which brings us to where we are today. But we have a problem. There are no dinosaurs roaming the earth today that got off the ark. They don't exist. There are no sheep fossils in the fossil record, or elephant fossils, or horse, gorilla, or human fossils. They don't exist. There isn't one marine dinosaur that lived through the flood that is swimming in our oceans, lakes, or streams today. They don't exist. And there are no modern-day fish fossils found anywhere in the fossil record. Modern-day fish fossils don't exist. This theory fails to satisfy all 4 pieces of evidence we have presented to you. There are no fossils of modern-day man or animals in the fossil record. There are no fossils of modern-day fish or marine mammals in the fossil record. There are no marine dinosaurs swimming in our oceans, lakes, and streams today. And there are no dinosaurs roaming the earth today. The old earth doctrine holds that God created the heaven and the earth in the distant past, millions or perhaps billions of years ago. On the newly created earth, he placed a group of creatures we now call dinosaurs. Marine dinosaurs filled the waters, and land dinosaurs roamed every portion of the face of the earth. But something terrible happened to our earth, a cataclysmic event, possibly Lucifer's rebellion against God, and the surface of our earth was destroyed. All living things, plants and dinosaurs, were destroyed and turned into fossils. Billions of dead things buried in rock layers all over the earth. We read in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2, "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep." But God had plans for mankind. He reshaped the earth and made it habitable. Under the reshaped earth, hidden from view, were billions of fossils of prehistoric dinosaurs. On day 5 of this new creation, God placed modern-day fish in the oceans and streams, including bass, minnows, trout, dolphins, and the great whales. On day 6, he created sheep and horses, elephants, and gorillas. Lastly, he placed man in the Garden of Eden. But as we know, Noah was required to build a boat to save mankind and each of God's animals from the flood. Noah and his family boarded the ark. Each kind of animal took their place on the boat, and the rains came. Every land creature, animal and man, drowned in the waters. The modern-day fish survived the flood, being very comfortable in their own environment. The flood fossilized nothing. But under the ground were billions of fossils deposited there millions of years ago before the earth was reshaped by God. The floodwaters receded, and the ark landed on Mount Ararat. Noah and the animals disembarked and began the post-flood human race. Both man and animals begin multiplying to the point where we are today. But deep under the earth, for millions of years, were billions of dead things buried in rock layers all over the earth, just waiting to be discovered by modern man. This doctrine satisfies all four pieces of evidence we have presented in our case. There are only land dinosaurs and marine dinosaurs in the fossil record. There are only modern-day man, animals, and fish alive today. What we have done here is presented four pieces of evidence to you based on the fossil record we find in the earth and the creatures we have alive on the earth today. When presenting a circumstantial case in court, one piece of circumstantial evidence usually will not stand on its own merits. Two pieces of supporting circumstantial evidence may be a coincidence, but three pieces of evidence, each supporting the same theory, is no coincidence. When you present four pieces of evidence totally supporting theory number one and disproving theory number two, you, the jury, has a moral responsibility, no matter what your preconceived ideas were about the case, to rule in favor of the evidence. The folks at Answers in Genesis are big on the evidence supporting their theory of a young earth.
If you're going to make a great claim, you have to support it with real evidence, not fraud, not mistakes, and not by omitting the evidence.
Based on the standards set by Answers in Genesis, I'm going to ask you, the jury, to make your decision whether the evidence we have presented supports the young earth theory or the old earth doctrine beyond any reasonable doubt.